What's up, guys? We're back here. We're going to do a 1 month review of ArcAge Unchained 6.5 fresh start servers. So let's talk about, is it worth it? That is the big question. So I've got 3 accounts. I've played for over 300 hours in this last month, probably close to like 600 hours. And it is definitely worth it for me. It's definitely worth it for a lot of players that have joined the game and have had tons of fun. The game is fun. It is definitely is in the best spot that it's ever been. The Garden of the Gods patch, the garden itself, is quite disappointing. A lot of people had high hopes for the garden instance, but have realized that it's simply just an AFK zone where you go and hide and put your character AFK overnight, and you collect rewards if someone doesn't kill you, doesn't find your hiding spot. And that's pretty much it, because you can't fight the mobs. The mobs are just too overpowered. They require around a 14,000 gear score to even attempt. There are some ways around that, so pets can definitely kill these mobs. You do need to have upgraded pet armor and gear for these pets. There are some new raid bosses in there, but again, you need to have a lot of players that are at least probably 16,000 plus gear score to attempt these raid bosses in the Garden of the Gods. They do look pretty cool. I will not lie. I definitely stepped into the Garden of the Gods one night, and it was a raid boss time going on, and I was like, whoa, this is definitely cool, and checking out the guy. So let's look at what they've said here in the FAQ. They've followed up. They haven't done any really tricks on us this time. They've kept everything as they said it would. They have the Arc Pass was restricted at the beginning. They gave everyone 200 diligence coins and 20 labor rechargers, which was definitely less than what you would have got from the Arc Pass, but it was a nice boost. In the beginning, that did cause a little bit of kind of pay-to-win aspects, because you could buy multiple accounts and then you get these diligence coins and you sell them off. So some people did accumulate a little bit of gold via this free diligence, but when you really look at it, was it free? They had to buy another account and then just sell that. So like you had a little avenue of how much of an account was worth kind of at that point. You can only still have one character on Fresh Start. There's no plans to having more than one character on Fresh Start, which is a huge, huge positive in my opinion. This helps with alt age, prevents you from having multiple characters that can go through the storyline quest, collecting Gilda stars and high-end items like the farm wagon, and then I believe it's the high engine. I always forget what that's called, but the engine that requires 2 Thunderstruck trees, that is given to you in the Blue Salt questline, and with only being restricted to one character per account, you can't cheese that. You cannot cheese the 50,000 proficiency bonus item that you get for completing the Blue Salt questline. It just makes it a lot fairer, and Gilda stars are holding their value as well. We actually haven't had any queues, which has been refreshing, and people have jumped in. Like a lot of new players jumped into the game and started out playing the game again, and there's a lot of questions. Like the new player experience definitely still needs to be worked on, but overall the server was a success. The launch of the Fresh Start servers was a great success. Population wise, it was a slowish start. It wasn't like, oh my god, there's a bajillion people, I can't do a quest, like everything is dead. There was a little bit of hold up on certain quests where you had to like collect an item, and the item spawned every 15 or 30 seconds for a story quest. There was lines and things like that, but that dispersed after about 2 days. There was a little bit of worry in the beginning of the Fresh Start servers that the population was low, because they weren't seeing on day 2 or day 3 like full raids at a GR and CR, Crimson Rift and Grimgraft Rift. But those definitely picked up, and within like 3 to 5 days, we started seeing multiple full raids, and people were starting to actually contest the CRGRs, and that's what people remembered. Like, I think the problem is in the beginning, people have this mindset that there's just tons and tons of people playing in the beginning, and that everyone gets to the max level day 1, and that's not the case. Yes, getting to level 30 is only about a 2-hour grind, with there's no server issues going on. Some people can do it a little bit faster, but for the average player, it's about a 2-hour grind. Some people, especially if they are new, are going to take 3, 4, maybe 5 hours to get to that level 30 point. And then after level 30, the grind picks up a lot, tremendously, and especially when there are a lot of players in the PvP zones, because after level 30, every zone now can cycle through war and go into conflict, which means there can be PvP that is happening. Once you get to these choke points, you kind of have to wait for peace periods to get things done, to get quest done and things like that, because there's so many people, there's hundreds upon hundreds of people that are all fighting, and they are fighting each other. That is the beauty of an open world PvP game like that. It's just, you have content being contested, even little just starter quests, and you have to wait for peace periods. Some players don't like that. Some players play on off periods to avoid this, avoid all the population, all the gankers in the beginning. And it definitely is a viable strategy to go out and gank newer players, because you get a good amount of honor when the land is in war. You get 40 honor points for killing someone. So like, it's definitely a good source of honor. And there were some players that farmed thousands upon thousands of honor points by just killing other players, killing lobies in, level 30, level 40 zones, and they're already ancestral like 5 or 6. A totally viable strategy, especially at the point when there's only like 10 or 15 ancestral level characters. You can't do the in-game raiding content that will get you honor points. So you're kind of blocked. You're waiting for other players to get to your level so you can do this in-game raiding content. And a way to get honor is to go kill the lobies and help out with faction wars and such. The landlock was a success also. The landlock was locked for about 10 days. And then when they released, there were still tons and tons of land available. A lot of the players on the server were PvP oriented and don't really care about land. Over time, the land has started to fill up over this 1 month period. Land is pretty much, I'd say probably 80% full now on the Fresh Start North America server. I can't talk about the AAU server, so I don't know what land is like over there. But yeah, so now land has just constantly been picking up. It's also a thing that is added. There's the treehouse that has got added from the diligence store that is 300 diligence. So people had that access once the ARC Pass came out. The first week happened. And if you saved your 200 diligent coins, you had access to a treehouse, which is a 20 by 28 by 28. Huge plot of land. And it definitely started to take up some of the open vacancies out in the world. There are now more Care Bear players that are starting to join the server as well. But again, the server is still heavily PvP based. You can see that with the auction house. And there's very few flowers and herbs and things like that on the auction house, because there aren't people really doing gardening and farming, which in turn is making the economy really, really beautiful, because there's avenues to make money if you put the time and effort to do pretty much in anything. If you want to pick flowers nonstop and just garden, you can do that, and you can make a good amount of income by picking and harvesting flowers. If you want to actually mine ore and just be an ore smith, harvesting ore and converting it, you can actually make a decent amount of money. On that token, before, ore and mining was a horrible profession because there were so many mining bots that were just taking up the nodes and then constantly nonstop spamming F. But with the new Fresh Start server, you have to actually pay something to get into the server. This is one barrier of entry that costs anywhere between $16 and $26 depending on what you purchase to get into the server. And these Chinese gold farmers, as they're called, they do buy these. They do buy these accounts. They do log in. But GameGo and Tryon Worlds has actually banned and eliminated a lot of these bots this time around. We've actually seen a lot of GM support in game. We've seen GMs in game on our server multiple times already on this Fresh Start within 1 month. That is unheard of over my 6 years of covering ArcAge and ArcAge. I have never seen a GM besides a public test server way back when in like alpha. But I've physically seen a GM twice already in 1 month on the Stena server for North America. Like, my mind is blown on that. So 6 years, I've never seen a GM, never heard of a GM. It was just a myth. right? No, GMs don't exist. GMs don't do anything. GMs are shit. They don't ban anyone. Twice already that I've personally seen. They've been on more. They've been on the server more times than that. There's video evidence of this on, Discord, Reddit's, forums. You can see Cosmos blowing up someone's farm hauler or cart or whatever it was. They've been interacting. They've been doing a good job. There was a lot of top-end players that got banned within like 3 days of alerts to the company. Hey, they're hacking. Hey, they're cheating. Hey, they're gold buying. Whatever the complaint was, there's like 5 big-name North American players that got banned within 3 days. And that is very, very impressive. They don't do that in the old legacy servers. They seriously just don't take care of the servers and the population there. They do ban people, but it takes like months for people to get banned. They've also taken a very strong stance against botters in Aegis Isles. So there's always people botting around in the ocean, killing the little fish, because it's easy. There's a lot there. That's just the grind spot. It's kind of semi-safe. Not many people go there. And yeah, you'll see people up on the ancestral gear score level be like, hey, he's ancestral 35 or 32, but he has like a 1500 gear score. It's like, what? How do you have 1500 gear score, but you're ancestral level 35? Well, he's AFK macro botting, nonstop killing mobs. And these players have been banned. They did take a little bit longer. They've taken, several weeks to get banned, but they've been banned. And now we've really noticed that on the North America Fresh Start server, because the price of the brine-bound rocks have just shot up to like 2 gold each or 3 gold each. Whereas when they're being botted, they go down to almost the NPC sell price of like 25 silver, 20 silver for these things. Because the bots are nonstop farming them and you get them for free. They don't cost any labor or anything. It's just like free money. And so the bots put them on the auction house. Like, they've maintained and helped this server prosper. The only big issue that has happened on this server is the AFK event that they did. So about a week ago, they had this event where you needed to be logged in for 8 hours every day to get the maximum rewards. And you can get the most, like the best reward people thought was the Mythic XP crate, which had Mythic XP infusions for Haram and Mythic XP infusion for Aranor gear. So it definitely dramatically increased people's progress, and you're seeing tier 5 mythics and eternal weapons now popping up on the servers thanks to this advanced progression. But there's also a big thing that happened is that when 6.5 came out, the most notable change in the game and the code of this game was turning the weekly Haram quests, turning the daily Haram quests into weekly quests. This, along with the ability to gain more infusions and scrolls from these quests, and also giving out a free decrystallization scroll once a week, was a huge change that increased the gear progression rapidly on this server. So within 1 week, you could see people with 5,000 gear score. It was not unheard of to see that number, and people were like in shock. But it was just simply doing the weeklies once, and you had enough infusions and scrolls, if you got lucky, to get high enough gear score to be like, hey, I'm 5,000, like, yeah. You did need some gold, because it does cost a little bit of gold, and people did start to get to gold crunches, and it's like, oh, I'm out of gold. So if you noticed on some of these servers, you'll see a lot of players that just rushed their gear, their weapons specifically. They don't even have any gems slotted into them, because at one point, honor prices were about 200 gold for 7k honor. Like, honor was really expensive. And then also to socket these gems in your gear, it was very expensive as well. And people just pumped in all their money into their weapons to get more DPS, which totally is a viable strategy, because the more DPS, you kill faster, you earn more gold, and so forth. But by doing this and not socketing your gems when it was cheap, you really just cuck yourself in the long run. The gems are now going to cost hundreds upon hundreds of extra gold to socket, and if these players do continue to play the game, they've made a probably 20,000 gold mistake. Granted, that may not be anything to a gold buyer, because there still are gold sellers and gold buyers out there. Gamigo and Shrine Worlds are cutting them down, but they do still exist. There are still platforms to buy gold and sell gold, and they will not be able to catch everybody. But they are doing a better job this time, so you have to give them credit for this. They didn't also disable any events in the beginning, like DGS happened, and then Abyssal happened. And amazingly enough, the server had some server first, like on day 2. The Abyssal was taken down by a bunch of players in rowboats, which was very, very impressive. So that was like unheard of. And the reason these things happened is because players have 5 years of experience in the game and they know what they're doing. And when it's uncontested and they're just able to chomp down, because no one expects an Abyssal to be taken down day 2 of a server, they can sneak in and win one of these things and get a whole bunch of gold. A lot of gold secrets are still in the game. Like, there are mole crates, moles out there, so people are farming moles. The, ore cave up in X-Lock. There is treasure maps, which are just ridiculously profitable right now. And so much more in ArcAge that there is just too much to do, essentially. It is a good time. That you will have a good time if you have the time to put into the game. If you only have a few hours a day to play, I don't recommend the game. But if you do have 6-7 hours a day and you want to jump into a brand new MMORPG that maybe you haven't tried or maybe you tried before, it is definitely worth the $26 or $16 value, whatever the price point is right now, for this game. I highly recommend anyone that wants to play jump into the Fresh Start servers. They have done a great job. Yes, the gear scores are quite high now. They are averaging probably around 6,000 to 7,000 for most players, but you still can be a factor in world events and things like that. There are still a bunch of helpful people, and for the most part, the game is now starting to settle. In-game is happening. There's castles, there's drama, faction drama is kind of taking over, and there is open world PvP all over the place. So if you do want to jump into ArcAge Unchained and you want to play, I highly recommend you not play an archer. Archers did get changed and their skill sets are quite unique now. They're kind of like a long-range glass cannon. They have the ability to get an additional plus 20 on their skills if you stand still for 20 seconds. So their Deadeye ability is really cool. They can outrange any other class in the game with this skill, but their downside is they cannot move. When you do move, you lose that buff, that range bonus. And they do have some range abilities that can make them faster and shoot faster animation speed and such, but they're so squishy. It's amazing. So I played a melee character because my friend wanted to jump in and play ArcAge Unchained, and I'm like, sure, I'll give you one of my accounts. It's already high enough level. Let me go and get you some Haram basic starter gear. Let me gear you up as a melee. So I took my level 40 account that had been doing pretty much nothing else but like processing goods or something like that, and I started to do the green storyline quest. He wanted to play a melee character. I've always played an archer, a ranged character, because that's just my preferred playstyle. I don't know anything about melee. I played a mage in the other server as well, but I've never played a melee character. So I picked just some melee skill sets and just, dicked around with this. I got to the point where I was able to kill every story quest mob and monster and people with skills and abilities using just the basic explorer's weapons. Like, I didn't upgrade them at all because I was like, I'm still using my labor for other activities, like for processing or crafting keys or whatever I was doing. I was like, I already had a plan for my labor pool, so I wasn't using any labor whatsoever to upgrade gear. And I found out that like melee just deals a shit ton of damage, and they can just kill things with their abilities, even with crappy gear. And so I was like, wow, what happens if you actually put on good gear with a melee? And then you see that in Halsey when you are fighting, especially as an archer. When a melee gets up on you and they have good weapons, you pretty much die in a 3-hit combo, and you're like tripped, stunned, dead. And it's just like, wow, melee is really, really overpowered. Mages have some really cool skills that are awesome and can deal a ton of damage as well. So after doing that and after training up this melee character for my friend, I really feel like you don't want to play an archer if you want to jump into Arcade Unchained. I feel like archers are way down on the power level. I feel like melees are probably the strongest. Mages are second tier, and then archers are definitely third tier, worst class to play. I don't know where healers rank in this meta tier list because I've never tried to play healer. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they could be good, could be bad. Post down below. Let me know, how are healers? Do you disagree with my archer review here? Do you think melees suck? Post it down below. Love to hear from you guys. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you have any other questions about Arcade Unchained, post in the comment section. Love to hear from you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.